Okay, this is try number 3 or 4. I don't really know. Um, I've been kicked off of live multiple times now, so we'll see if this one stays up. It's let me for a couple minutes and then it just keeps kicking it. So I'm on the phone with Robert. We were talking about what happened yesterday in court and what his thoughts are. It is still a possibility for it to get appealed through the district court, and that's what we were just talking about, is that through the district court, it will actually go in front of a different judge. And so I'm pretty optimistic about that because I think that's the biggest problem right now is that specific judge. The other thing that we had talked about was how the judge read off all his charges, and that's where Robert was right now, is just discussing kind of a rundown of what those charges were and how it's interesting that she chose his juvenile record, even though she said she was going to leave the juvenile record off. Did I miss anything, Robert?
Well, it's technically not my juvenile record. It was when I was a minor, though.
Okay.
Because I was technically tried as an adult. And see, here's the thing, is that I didn't see it at the time, but Melanie said afterwards, and so did Susan, that it kind of seemed like she was basically trying to tell my supporters that were there that, I was just a bad guy. I'm a career criminal type thing. But if you look at the record, back in 97, 98, I had those charges, and then I don't have any charges until '07, and then I had a DUI. Then I don't have any charges, except, traffic stuff, is like she kept saying. And then it starts again in like 2014, 2015, 2016, somewhere around there is when charges start. And that's that's when I start protesting. And yeah, disturbing the peace because I play Christian music outside of CPS at my monthly protest, and injury by graffiti because everybody agrees that there was no injury and it's not graffiti. That doesn't matter. That's just the title of the charge for me chalking on sidewalks.
So all of the charges that she listed off do kind of one that you have right now as a First Amendment issue, right?
Yeah. Because how they were able to charge me, supposedly, with the injury by graffiti for the chalking is because although CPS is in that building and the government leases that building, they say because a trust fund owns the building and CPS only rents it, then my First Amendment doesn't apply there.
Interesting.
Yeah, so if it was, like I did the sidewalks out by the street now, that is covered by the First Amendment because that's publicly owned.
So,
but since
so were you arrested before for playing music out there on that sidewalk?
Yeah, Christian music. They don't like Christian music. It really drives them nuts. And that was disturbing the peace.
Okay, so I have some other questions because I don't remember how early you came in. Did you hear 2 people in there that were charged on DUI prior to you getting your turn?
No, I heard a little bit of the last guy saying, but to be honest with you, I wasn't really paying that much attention to it. If you remember right, you were in there. Well, if you were in there for people before me, then remember that cop took me out of the courtroom? He took me out of the courtroom and asked me if I had telemate in the jail, and I was like, yeah. And he said, well, then you can't be communicating with people in here. Leave it for telemate. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. All I was doing was smiling. I wasn't communicating with anybody. So, I don't know what was going on with that. So, yeah, I was kind of a little bit confused and kind of wondering what the hell he was talking about as far as me communicating with you guys, because I wasn't. I mean, what was I doing?
That guy before you was about to go to jail.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I do remember they arrested him or whatnot, I believe.
So I don't know if they just didn't want you to hear what he was getting arrested for. That was my thought.
Oh, okay, maybe.
I don't know. Anyways, I was just kind of appalled at the way the judge shifted between the case before yours to your case. Her attitude, her demeanor, everything completely changed.
Yeah.
And
That's it.
and then her addressing the people in the audience, that one blew me away. I didn't even know what to say there. That was just, I mean, it
I
was
mean, when they kicked Garth out, or are you talking about at the end?
I'm talking about at the end where she thanked us for all being so respectful. I mean, it was just like a slap in the face.
Yeah, well, I think like I can't remember. I talked to Melanie and Susan yesterday, so I kind of mixed up their stuff a little bit. But I think that she was it. It okay. You notice we got I believe it was a bigger courtroom, so more people would come there. I think it was Melanie who was saying that she thinks it was all set up. Basically, she was trying to, basically tell my supporters that they need to stop supporting me because I'm just a career criminal and
Oh,
that I don't deserve
absolutely.
to be supported.
I think that was absolutely the case, and she was trying to get the full record that you have on the record, so anybody requesting records, that's included.
Yeah, well, and that was, yeah, but the thing I thought was funny is Garth getting kicked out because he's been known to record court proceedings before. It was funny. But yeah, I think that, yeah, she was trying to
Well,
endear herself to the, you could totally, I mean, I don't know if everybody
what's what's
could,
more
but you
most
could totally tell the
interesting though
fakeness.
is even though we're not allowed to record, we can go upstairs and pay for the recording.
Yeah, it's extortion.
So what does it matter what device it was recorded on?
Yeah, well, because they got to get their money.
Yep. How are you doing mentally after yesterday?
Yesterday I was doing pretty good. I think all the people showing up helped me a bit. This morning, not so much. I'm working through it a bit. Music helps out a bit, but it's expensive. Um, and we're kind of having money problems, so trying not to do it too much, but it helps a bit. So I decided to do a couple hours of it at least. Um, I don't know. Yesterday, I think because all the people were there supporting, I was focused on that, and I thought, I was actually in fairly high spirits because I wasn't really expecting much out of the court. I was kind of hoping that I'd get out, but I was kind of expecting she was just going to say "screw you." I mean, I could see that woman's hate for me, so I wasn't really expecting much.
I was
Um,
really shocked at the level of hate she had, not only for you, but it felt like for everybody in that room.
oh yeah, because she doesn't. That's I don't know. I don't know how to put it exactly, but that's how you know. Oh well, just put it. I mean, the way I know how is that's how demons are. They don't like it. They have a problem with it. I mean, even I think even the other participants felt it. I had people actually tell me that yeah, they could first time they could actually see the demon, and it's funny because I see demons, and I've seen it from pretty much the get go. She likes to do this smile while she's doing it, but yeah. Melanie said she's seen it, and I think Susan said she didn't see it specifically, but she felt it. And it's just,
there was a monitor in the way, in my view, but it was just disgusting to hear, almost like happy in her voice as she was telling you she was not giving you what she wanted.
yeah, that's their weakness. That's they like to attack us. And it's not the easiest. I can tell you. It's hard. Um, at times, there's one section in there I thought, is she actually going to give it to me? And I think when she was talking about the bond, I think she said something to the effect of that, she felt that would be appropriate. And I thought, oh, is she actually going to let me out on a
Considering it,
bond?
yeah, I thought the same thing, especially where the state didn't really say much other than request a bond. And I was like, here we go. They're going to give it to us, but then it's going to be such an extraordinary bond amount, it's not even going to be an option.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Do a $50,000 or $100,000 bond, something that's just stupid. Um, that's kind of what I was thinking. But yeah, nope. She decided, nope, just screw you totally.
So I almost wonder if, like, I don't know, maybe this could be a good thing in the long run. I mean, getting her on the record, showing her holding all of that previous stuff against you. I mean, eventually all this is going to come back out as it was all First Amendment, right? I would hope.
Well, and something I think was a little bit crazy came out of the thing yesterday too was that because I refused probation, that means I intend on committing a crime.
Exactly.
Did you catch that?
That was absurd.
I was like, what the heck? How does that? How do you make that logically work?
So we're gonna have a new Give Send Go link in the comments. Do we have a goal of what you need for your appeal to the higher court?
Well, I can just say, it's. I don't know. I think that we discussed a lot, like $10,000.
Okay.
I'm not sure how much Emily's asking for in that because I'm not sure how much my truck's worth. Okay. And and the ongoing here, I want people to understand that it's expensive to be in jail. I spend a lot on food. Ramen is $1.09 a piece. And I don't eat the jail food. And I thought about just going fast. Moses fasted for 40 days. Maybe I could too. But my wife doesn't want me. But just this phone call here is like $10. If it's a phone call that's not to 208, it's like almost 14, like 13 something. And this one's like $10. So it's it may not sound, some people want to say, well, $10 is kind of a bit for one phone call, but it may say, well, one phone call is not all that bad, but add that up, $70 a week just in phone calls. And that's if I just call someone. Everybody's got 208 numbers. If there's one California number that I call, but it charges like 14 something. 14, I don't know, 14 is some change, so almost $15. Which doesn't make any sense to me because nowhere else is there long distance anymore. But I guess in jail you have to pay long distance for long distance.
It's just an option for them to get you for more money, like you said before.
Yeah, and then then the visits they're for half an hour at $7.50, and then for the 4 hours, $15. They do give you an hour free a week. And I try to stay within
they were
that.
using the police
Like
department,
I'm going to go about that because my daughter
goes along with this quite well all the time to steal this baby. Which we have body cam footage of officials and medical professionals, I guess I should say, within the hospital saying healthy baby. The baby was healthy. So Ammon was completely justified in being there, trying to stop the removal of this baby from his God-given mother, who was his only lifeline, as far as eating and such.
Because he was breastfeeding.
Ammon was completely,
He was a breastfeeding baby. That's an important detail in there.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't just breastfeeding.
It's hard.
Mom had specifically modified her diet to address the issues that were going on with baby. So they specifically only her breast milk was good for him. Only her breast milk. Not like any breast milk would work. Not like, that she could have been on Infomil. No. It was that her specific breast milk, because from at least the best of my understanding, I'm not a doctor and I wasn't intimately involved in knowing exactly everything, but there was a protein problem. At least they were assuming there was a protein problem at that time because,
I don't know.
No matter what the hospital was to put out
for
there,
one, that's one thing I've been trying to tell people when
and
they don't listen really a lot is, people think, oh, well, Robert's used to court or to jail. I'm not. I'm absolutely not. I haven't been in jail for a long freaking time, not real jail. And it's just, my previous record here in Idaho, they, other states aren't the same. Idaho incarcerates more people than any other state in the union, and the union has the largest incarceration rate of any nation in the world.
To stop a baby.
I
was there to stop a law from passing. It would have criminalized But Ammon
Well, they're
was
wrong. I think
for a
actually Ammon put him out.
baby that was being tortured
that's right.
by the state. People may think, oh, well, that's, dramatizing it.
So,
Yeah, well, and I know
Whatever.
I've
I don't
checked
know
several
about you
times,
or,
and
you
as
know,
long
anybody
as
else
I've
out there who's
always,
got babies.
every time
But I
I've
can tell
ever
you
checked
that
for
my babies
25 years,
love their
the United States has always had the highest incarceration rate of any nation.
Of their,
But the Idaho
loving
thing
mother,
is something
push
new
them off
to me,
to
at
some
least, and I
building
believe
where there's a bunch of
pretty
people
sure I
throwing
got that
bottom
from
at them
Ammon. But
that
I
they don't
could
know
be wrong.
about. I mean,
I
that's
remember one of his
torture. It may not be an extreme torture, but it's a torture nonetheless. So Ammon was there standing for a
so back to
baby
Sarah, what are your
to
thoughts
be
on
reunited with
Sarah's trial? I mean,
his parents
after
who were
seeing the
doing
way you've been
everything
treated,
within their
Sarah, I
control
don't mean to jinx you, so I'm
to
sorry,
make
but
sure that that baby was
I don't
healthy.
see anything
And
going well for her.
The health officials within that hospital.
Well, I mean, it's
Like I said, we have body cam footage of it. I don't remember if that was already made public or not, but they said at least 2 of them.
well, you also got to understand that, like, there's some things going in her benefit. For one, I don't think she's ever been charged with anything.
Right.
Money.
But
it doesn't make any sense.
that doesn't necessarily
So,
guarantee, well, anywhere
coming up on
close
this
to guarantee
upcoming
that
court
she can be
case,
found not guilty.
What do
This
you
is an
think,
Ada County jury.
if you were
I
outside
think that
today,
in a lot
what
of
would you be
ways,
doing?
Sarah has already paid pretty
I'd
big
be trying
punishment
to get everybody
for
to
such a stupid
understand the
charge.
case. Understand that Ammon stood up for a baby here.
I think
that
she's
you wanna
spent, like,
encourage-
that's why I say
continue to
that
encourage
costs
that
a
kind
lot.
of
Is,
standing.
I think she's already
the
spent
baby was
$15,000 or
healthy.
$20,000
And
on
it's
her
it's not like
defense.
Ammon just guessed
So,
at
I
this
mean,
being a healthy baby.
for such a stupid little charge,
This family. We all know anybody who knows Ammon
trespassing on bark,
anybody who's
she's
been involved knows that
you
he
can
knows
beat the
this
charge,
family.
but you can't
I
beat the
knew
ride
this
type
family. A
thing.
lot of us knew this family
Yep.
and knew the nature of
And
this
so,
family.
she's
Therefore,
stood strong with that, and as far as consequences,
we knew that this
at
baby
the
was
end,
being taken care of.
I don't know exactly.
Also,
You never can tell because of these judges. And if
Ammon
the
was
jury
throwing
finds her
off
guilty,
that
I mean, you
some
can never
people
tell with that either.
think.
I mean, as you can see with
No,
my
he
jury,
knew exactly what
the prosecution, even the judge said the
maybe that's
prosecution
not the
proved
right way
the
to say it, but
opposite
he knew exactly
of
what he
the elements of the crime.
He may
But
not
they
have known
still
exactly
found me
what he was
guilty, and the
defending,
judge
but he
still
knew
threw the book
what
at
he
me.
was defending, and he was defending the right of the parents to be with their children. That's
the problem with the system, is that you don't know. I mean, like I was telling us out there, there's a guy in here for
look at everything that they're doing to
strangled his wife out. Originally it was attempted strangulation, and then they dropped it to just domestic violence, and then they dropped it to disturbing the peace. Now, I don't know his full story. I didn't read his paperwork, this, that, and the other, but he got 30 days and was out.
For strangling his wife.
That was it.
This is a no-brainer. I mean, this isn't a...
For strangling
This
his
isn't,
wife.
well, maybe, maybe those dishes.
He got 30 days and he was out. And it was the same charge as me. And, and when I told him what I was here for, he's like, holy shit, really? And then he told me, and he did it. He told me that he did it, but it was, he didn't try to strangle her, he just grabbed her by the neck and threw her on the ground or something like that. And
switch this,
like, and I got 30 days.
Kind of light,
I was like, 30 days, really?
maybe they weren't taking, yes, they were taking care of the baby. They missed an appointment to weigh the baby.
To go from,
They didn't miss an appointment to get a treatment. They didn't miss an appointment for something that was critical. It was to weigh the baby.
Community.
That was it. And CPS immediately acted and tried to steal this baby from this family.
That means that,
Ammon did, in my opinion, Ammon did at least
stupid logic
that he could. Well, that's not the right way to put it either. I mean, that's,
how about I don't want the state
I guess what I'm saying is I would still find him justified if he would have overreacted, as some may put it, more. Like if he would have entered the hospital and attempted to get the baby back to the parents. I mean, we do, I know that it's not used anymore and people don't believe in self-defense by third party. But if there is a case for defending something, whether it's a baby or something to defend,
like we've been talking,
especially by third party, and that's what he was attempting to do in this
some of
case.
these judges,
Especially when to be criminally charged for it, especially since from the best of my understanding, I haven't seen all the videos, but I do believe that there is, I've been told at least by a couple different people that there's video of pretty much from when he showed up until they threw the cuffs on him. They never asked him to leave. They just seen that Ammon was there, so that means more people are going to be paying attention. So they just needed to arrest Ammon to remove him from the situation, so they could try to,
because of the immunity,
to
and they
sidestep what the actual issue was about, which was that healthy baby being sold either through the ballot box, voting a judge out, because the judges are appointed in. We never vote judges in. They appointed and then they're and they knew they weren't going to be able to tell them, well, just relax. You got a hearing, a shelter care hearing, which is basically a rubber stamp most of the time. They're going to shelter care hearing, so if there's nothing wrong with the baby, they'll give it back then. That's what they always try to say, and they never give back the baby at shelter care. Look at this. Like, it's a little bit. This case is a shining example of that. A little bit silly that you can't just. The baby was a healthy baby. Did it have some issues? Yes, and the parents were addressing that. But the baby was a healthy baby, and they still took the baby. So, it's total BS. It's comply or we will, harass you. We will steal your babies. I mean, we will, put you through the ringer. And they went through a shelter care hearing, which spanned 2 different days. I believe it was 4 hours long, which is like one of the longest shelter care hearings I've ever been involved with. And so, and those who don't know, I've been involved with fighting GPS for a little over 8 years now. In one way or the other, 7 years or better, actually trying to help others and fight cases that wasn't my own, which is not, by the way, my kids were never taken. It was my sister's kids. But anyways, so I have some kind of unique experience with CPS. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I think you've been outside of that. And, this case is, more risk. We've talked about sweetheart cases or, cases that are blatant. This case is, in my opinion, object of their hugely blatant. But the baby was fine from the beginning. When they stole the baby, declared the baby in imminent danger. Medical professionals are saying, healthy baby. Something else comes out, I quote, healthy baby. Something else. And healthy babies, there should be no charges against him. Period. I don't know. In my opinion, if they did ask him to leave, start pushing back. It's fine. I'll leave. Give me the healthy baby, so I can get him back with his parents.
Well, but it kind of all comes.
Yeah. But I mean, it's different through this recorded line. We know that they're listening, and that and there's certain things that that they will try to twist and to make it 100%. He was right, and not only was he right, the government officials agreed that he was right. It just took hard to torturing that baby and terrorizing that baby for them to finally concede that they were wrong. And look how long it took. 2 weeks. Before they finally conceded that they were wrong the whole time. Ammon knew it to begin with. I mean, I gotta say that, if my kids were ever taken, I would love for Ammon to show up. And I think that anybody out there with kids, government property to the public, I would think that, be there to support Ammon, because he's not just, him. I don't care if you like him or not. You should be able to, whatever you think of him, I don't care. But you need to show up to support what he stood for, which is a little baby, parental rights. So if you have kids, don't you want someone like Ammon to show up?
Just let's think back to how many thousands of people were sharing,
commenting, it's an ordinance.
And invested heavily in that baby's
Yes, but from my understanding, this is specifically for the
we were to
sheriff's office. Well, I don't know if it's
back.
I don't necessarily think it's the jail. I think it's the complex or whatever, not
how
just
many
the
of
jail.
those people do you think are going to show up that day?
Well, I don't know. I hope that a good portion of them. I hope that we can fill the courtroom again for Ammon's case. But I do got to say that there's only going to be a certain percentage of them. Because there's some of them that are just out of the heat of the moment. The story, the drama. That once the drama's gone, then they're not. Then they're moved on. But I would hope that we can get at least fill that courtroom. Well, what would be great is if we could fill that courtroom and have a presence outside also. The protest I think that would be awesome. I would be there if I could be, definitely, in one place or the other. And I also got we got to remember that Ammon was going through there, so they wanted I believe it was another trespassing charge in the Capitol House. At the time of the babysitter there exactly. I've heard anywhere, and he and specifically, like, well, I know specifically, the more people that do it, to push the less likely they are to even charge it. And I don't know how effective it really honestly is when it comes down to it to be charged. I mean, look where I'm sitting right now. Look at how they. But later on, for those out there who Ammon just wants to be in the political spotlight, kiss my ass. But you don't know Ammon. But as an example,
I think he really doesn't even attempt to get into the spotlight.
I mean, now you can't stop the jail operations from happening.
Yes, and that's why we need to rattle the cages right now, because he doesn't, for his own sake.
Stop the
With the
operation.
exception of when he was running for governor,
I mean,
and he was
put a
like
phone in your
actively
hand and
posting on
videotape.
YouTube
I
about
mean,
things that he was doing
watch any
and
First
bringing
Amendment auditor.
awareness to the corruption in
They'll
Idaho's
give you all
government and with St. Louis. He wasn't doing it because he wanted attention.
What do you call that? The case law and stuff that you
Yeah,
need right now.
I can tell you that, at one time I was there to help support Ammon and the baby, and
I like
Ammon specifically told me to basically not worry about him and head to the hospital to support the baby. So, he would rather,
as far as
he's a principal guy, and he's supporting the baby in that, and he didn't do it so that he could get headlines. He did it because he's seen a family in trouble. He's seen, someone who needed support, and he was willing to, lose capital, if you want to call it that, political capital, to stand. And that's what I've always liked about Ammon versus, let's say some other groups that are always worried about the political capital, that they'll stand for what's right as long as they can, get political capital out of it.
Just so people
I
like just because it's provocative. Some of,
put the right
educating.
spin on it so
And
they always look good.
that's the thing, too, is that we need
there's certain people out there that are like that, and there's other people like Ammon, Ryan Davison, a few others that they stand for what is right, whether that's going to make them look good, or if that's going to, produce a bad news story, maybe a bad, news article in the paper, or, some story on the news that, Ammon was arrested at the hospital, and it kind of tried to imply that therefore, it must be crap, which, in my case, from my point of view, I guess I'd say, would actually further be like, oh, well, I didn't figure that out. If Ammon's going down there and getting arrested for this, we need to address this. And, we need to address the CPS issue. I don't think that it's, too far out of the box for people to be new.
We need to educate them better.
Bullshit. The CPS puts families
and I gotta
in
say that,
this, explaining, you have to be careful about jury tampering. So maybe, if, people who fight CPS, maybe show up and hand out, how bad CPS is. Flyers about how bad CPS is. Because, it's a documented fact that they damage more kids than they help. And Ammon knows this because, me and Ammon have been friends for,
we need some of
2014. I would say that we met. I don't know if I'd say we were friends, acquaintances at that time, and then probably 2020 we became more friends. But before that we were acquaintances, some may say friends. We were on talking like he knew who I was, and stuff. But either way, I've been pushing this for a while, and Ammon's not dumb.
How can
he's looked this stuff up? He's seen that CPS is bad, and we need to address this issue. It needs to be broadcasted. And we need people like Ammon to do that. Someone who's willing to stand up and say, "Give back that baby now." Willing to call, use his political capital or patriot capital, whatever you want to say stand for this baby. Not people that, we need everybody to stand as much as we can. But, and we appreciate everything, us victims of CPS appreciate everything people can do. But I can tell you we need more people like Ammon than other organizations that they're willing to get involved. We got a bunch of politicians involved. once
and,
it's,
now
it's going on the news.
in his jail. Now, will he?
We need people like Ammon who are willing to stand and be that front guard there. Not ones that come in the rear and just try to suck off of it. But if you're trying to, this is a good opportunity to do that. Come on in. We need this issue blown up. We need to support actions like Ammon, standing for families, right up front, right in the beginning.
They can get creative on.
I think this is going to be an interesting
What if they just
case as it goes forward, because I'm just thinking back to everything that's happened since the Baby Cyrus case and all of the charges against mom
I
and
think,
sister
I think we have discussed
were
before, and
dropped,
they
right?
can release people. Just like Kenny
So-
And how much make a bet that they're going to try to sever that from this
they let a
trial?
bunch of people
Right.
go.
They're going to try to say that
they were a big enough risk
he
to
cannot bring up
society,
why he
and the
was
risk
there.
to them
That
or
he can't bring up that the baby was healthy.
was greater
That
than
he was right the whole time. How much you make a bet that the courts aren't going to allow that, or they're at least going to attempt to stop that? They're going to attempt to say that, well,
I don't know anybody.
the reason you were there doesn't matter. That you didn't leave when we telepathically told you to leave, then that's the only issue. But from my understanding, they never told him to leave. Therefore, that's even busted. But how much you make a bet they want to try to divorce why he was there to just to the purpose he was there. They've done it to me.
Right. So
in the past.
this is identical to when they told you you couldn't use the term protest, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, and in my previous things, that, as far as me protesting CPS, that I couldn't say why I was there protesting CPS. They wouldn't allow me to tell the jury that they had stolen my family because I reported sexual abuse in the foster home. They wouldn't allow me to say that in court. That didn't matter because the reason that I was there didn't matter. The only thing that mattered is that I was there.
And you can arrange
Such a twisted
That's
world
not-
we live in.
arrange time later or whatever.
Yeah, and I'd be willing to make a bet that they will do the same thing with Ammon. They're going to try to exclude that he was there to help out a healthy baby from being ripped from their family for medical kidnapping. That's what they're going to try to do. I can almost,
And
like I said,
feel like it's really important to remember. Just minutes.
Oh, okay. It looked like they were going to arrest him
this.
because I seen like 5 cops around him,
wasn't-
but they didn't end up arresting him.
No.
I guess.
I don't
Just let
believe
him
he
go.
was there.
That's. She's
when
seen
the
me,
cops
and
surrounded
all
him
of
at
her
the gas
hatred just
station.
turned towards
But
me.
I'm
and
sure he
completely
heard of it.
forgot about fucking justice. Or,
yeah, no,
You know?
if I remember correctly,
That baby was
when they were-
literally taken out of its mom's arms in an ambulance, and they would not let the mom stay with the baby to do this welfare check on the child.
Trying to go to rehab.
well, I do believe that when they were being pulled over, that one of their calls was to Ammon, and Ammon was the one who suggested that they immediately began live streaming the kidnapping, and that he was on his way. And he, not knowing exactly where this gas station was at, knowing their final destination, I do believe, like I said, I believe that through watching the live stream, he likely knew that they were taking the baby to the hospital. So to the best of my knowledge, he didn't even attempt to go to the gas station. He went directly to the hospital where they were taking the baby.
They're the victims. That they're the ones that are the ones that are harmed, and they get hardly anything as far as punishment. So it's
He knew
house
though.
divided is
He knew
against
what was
itself
going
can't
on. That's what I'm
last.
trying
So
to
they're not
say,
divided
like,
against
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that this baby
They're not
was
divided against other
absolutely
bad
being
things. They want
stolen
people
from
to
its
continue to
parents.
do bad things.
Yeah, and he
better not be protesting.
he doesn't he doesn't come off to me as somebody who stays up till 1 or 2 at night like me.
Protest and
So basically, he got the call.
being able to just
Too long is, huh?
He
get
has a
me
normal
whenever they
sleeping
want
schedule, is what
through
you're
their
saying?
probation, so that automatically.
I don't know. The normal sleeping schedule for me is 1 or 2 at night.
I don't know. I mean, I think
I don't know what you consider normal. I'm a night watchman. But so he threw his clothes on, jumped in his rig, clear out an Emmett
these courts
to come down to help protect a
They
baby.
need to start standing, consequences.
And I do believe he was watching the live stream. Now, like I said, I could be wrong. It has been
a little bit back, but if I remember correctly, they called him and asked him what to do. And he said live stream.
They will hate you.
Get people watching it, and he headed down. Probably partially was so that he could watch the live stream, so he could see what was going on. And he headed to the hospital to intervene to the best way he knew how, which seemed to be the hospital. He didn't wait for a group to show up. He didn't wait for as the news tries to make us out his followers to make a scene for him to actually put his money where his mouth is. No, his money was already in his mouth, and he was headed down there. Unlike some others that sit back and was like, well, we don't like the optics of this. We need to get a bigger, fuller story before we act. Well, no, baby's in danger. Let's go. And here, let me throw on my shoes, get my clothes on real quick, and I don't even know if he had his trademark cowboy hat on. He left his house real quick to protect his baby, and got down there and protected this baby. I mean, it's freedomman.org. If you want to know more about the baby's story, freedomman.org. I believe it's all there. And you'll see in there that he played a key role in maintaining this baby to go back to his family. Because they were planning on, they already knew the baby was healthy. So CPS, they were planning on
worried about the consequences that are going to happen. Do you have faith in God or not?
The hospital's admitted the baby's healthy,
I gotta say,
the hospital still
with this,
makes the police arrest
people at the court
Ammon.
may remember, because I thought about this.
Well,
today.
From my understanding, the police begged the hospital to please let us arrest him for trespassing, pretty much.
Just prayer before we went to court. I said,
something you need to understand is that CPS, when they took the baby, knew the baby was healthy because we've seen it through, it came out through Discovery, and go to freedomman.org and check it out. It says in there that they were planning on taking the baby from the mom via ambulance to the hospital and then immediately transferring them to a foster parent right then. But see, Ammon showed up, and because Ammon's well known, they immediately freaked out and said that it's no longer safe for the foster parents for them to steal this baby because, our Ammon and our network may, attempt to expose the people who were assisting in the kidnapping of this baby. Therefore, it wasn't safe for them to take the baby. So a lot of the reason the baby never actually went into a foster home was because Ammon showed up there. And some other people, I don't want to discount that other people showed up there also. But the paperwork specifically, brings out that Ammon showing up at the hospital helps derail their kidnapping plan.
Yeah, I'll just call back real quick.
You'll call back real quick? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
And now he's still facing time in jail. I want to look this up real quick. What's the... So, and this is where it gets kind of interesting because what they're going to do is they're going to pull up, well, this isn't his first trespassing charge.
Yeah, they can bring that up, but he can't bring up that he was there for all the right reasons and he was proven completely.
Right. So this is kind of like, the judge brought up your past, right? What do you want to bet? This psycho judge is going to bring up a rap sheet a mile long for whatever they've decided.
To be fair, his rap sheet is not nearly as long as mine.
Okay.
I remember as a kid I was a criminal, but I did do things wrong back then. But then there was a huge gap of, a couple little things, and then protesting is my rap sheet. But I've been arrested more often than Ammon for protesting. So, just to be fair, he's not going to have a huge record, versus what I had. But still, yes, they are going to use his previous charges against him.
All right. So, I'm on Title 18, Crimes and Punishments, Chapter 70 for trespass and malicious injuries to property, which is interesting because it's not like, I feel like these things are,
they combine those two?
What?
Are you sure those are combined? Those are two separate charges. Those are what I was charged with.
Okay, well, it's combined.
It's combined now?
It's combined. So 18
Thank you for using
7008 is criminal trespass. Definitions and acts constituting.
Alright, can you hear me?
Definitions as used in this section: A. Crops. B. Cultivated land. C. Damage. Blah, blah, blah. All of this nonsense. Alright, down to section B, penalties. Any person who pleads guilty or is found guilty of a violation of subsection 2B of this section for the first time may be sentenced to jail for no more than 6 months, and shall be fined no less than $1,500 and no more than $5,000. Any person who pleads guilty or is found guilty in violation of subsection 2B of this section for a second time within 5 years.
You have 1 minute remaining for this call.
Okay, I'll give you a call back real quick.
Okay.
Okay, do it.
I don't believe in it, or LSD, whatever you want to call it. I don't believe in that religion. But Ammon has shown more stout than, almost all the Baptists and the Protestants.
All right, we're just waiting for him to call back.
All those people I know. Why can't they stand? Well, because they might lose their job. Is that worldly or is that otherworldly? I don't know. And he says that the harvesters will be few, but I don't know. I guess I'm kind of prodding the Christians out there to, pray about it. Don't just go off of me. Don't let your pride get to you. Talk to God. Is sitting back doing nothing, not helping out your fellow man, is that really what he wants to do? What he wants you to do? Are you sitting back on Romans 13? The government, you should just believe it.
It's really interesting how you bring up that topic and how, watching everybody on the outside decide whether they're lying in the sand.
An inmate at Ada County Jail. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. If you don't wish to talk, hang up now.
Different view on.
Thank you for using Calmate.
Hi.
Not willing to do the right thing.
Okay, so it is 6 months, but still.
We're not doing the right thing by getting arrested,
So the second one
Kind of a little thorn in my craw.
is
Say it that way. It's more, are you
also 6 months.
it doesn't matter. I know it sounds pretty close. It sounds like the same thing, but in my mind it sounds the same thing.
But the fine increases substantially. So shall be fined in an amount no less than $5,000 and no more than $10,000 if the trespass can be reasonably construed to have been committed in a manner described in section 36 1603.
It can become a felony. Trespassing can now become a felony.
Right. So let's pause you right there and let's think back to.
Okay, so then it gets as on. Now they can suspend your license.
Declaration of Independence.
And then they're guilty of a felony.
What do you think the conversations were with our founding fathers
for
when they were
2
deciding
more violations? So
what they
he's
were and
got
what they were
trespassing
not
for the
gonna do?
Capitol,
What do you think those
right? Was that
conversations
1 or 2 times?
Because obviously back then,
Twice, I believe, but I think one of them he did beat, though. So I think just once.
Did he?
For that one. I think he did the one. They threw it out of court, and that's why he went back the second time. But because, although the trespass order was unlawful to begin with, because they had unlawfully trespassed him previously, he had reason to believe that he shouldn't have been there the second time, so they found him guilty on that one.
Right.
That's when I believe he's 10 days in jail.
Okay, so they're going to twist this every which way from Tuesday. And is it listed as a felony right now, or is it listed as a misdemeanor?
I do believe it's listed as a misdemeanor at this point.
Okay.
But I'm not 100% sure. You'd have to IDOX or whatnot, or whatever that is. No, not IDOX.
I'm just reading through this, and I just can't even believe, Robert, it actually lists the trespassing charge penalty, okay, for when it becomes a felony, up to $50,000.
Yeah.
What a freaking joke. I mean...
Yeah, we need to address the trespassing code again. I didn't like this one to begin with, but this, when they changed it, they just recently changed trespassing not so long ago. It didn't used to be a felony.
but now they're making it possibly a felony. But the person who put it in, who ran this bill, was attempting to address a different issue, which was people willfully going onto somebody's property and destroying it. But it's, I told her then that it
people are
could be
going to
used
just
this way.
willfully go onto property and destroy it, we need to go back to shoot on sight, man. Like, defend your shit.
Yeah, well,
Put up no trespassing signs and warnings that, people trespassing will be shot. Whatever happened to that? I remember growing up with those signs, don't you?
yeah, but they were never lawful. You can't just shoot somebody just for being on your property. It's never been lawful just to shoot somebody, just because they have to pose a deadly threat for you to shoot them. Just because you have a sign doesn't mean it's true.
Can you tase them? That Ammon has court on the 23rd.
As far as self-defense, you're allowed to use the least extreme method to stop their attack, to arrest their attack on your rights. So, yes, in some instances, no in other instances. So it's kind of,
So I'm
it's
throwing some
subjective.
sarcasm in there, but I mean, let's be real. $50,000 possible fine for somebody. I mean, let's just look at the trespassing charges that have gone on in the last, I don't know how many years. Showing up at 3.
Yep, it's almost like they planned it, huh?
Right.
It's almost like there's some new world order that has some kind of Agenda 2030 out there. I mean, yeah.
Oh my
goodness. Something like that.
You're missing some good stuff while you're in there. Okay, so I'm still banned on Twitter, which is
thankfully she did. Thankfully she got
kind of funny to me because
hundreds of people.
I'd never spoke out on Twitter,
as another
so I'm not really sure what qualified me for getting banned.
That could have been a
because I just got on there to read other people's shit.
Everybody showed up and decided not to remain peaceful in her courtroom.
Okay, so I'm still banned on Twitter, but I can go on and watch things. And Elon's, doing Elon things and tweeting about stuff. And
that's right.
I guess
she has Ammon.
You know who Andrew Tate is?
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm not very good with names, so.
Okay, I don't know who this guy is either. Anyways, he got his access back on Twitter. And
I think
within hours or days or something of announcing that he's back on Twitter, has managed to get himself arrested. Because he was speaking out against something.
Maybe with a name tag on that says Robert Jones.
And then, there's this YouTube guy, and I only know of this YouTube guy because I have a teenage daughter, and, this guy, I think was a rapper or something at some point, and then he decided that he was gonna, start doing makeup, and from an artist standpoint, he does phenomenal, makeup. Do I agree with the drag show men wearing makeup looking like a clown? Not really, but whatever. I don't really agree with the kids following him, but again, the dude has talent, okay? Could he use his talent in 100 other ways? Probably. Anyways, he's talking out about the elite sex trafficking with the government and all this other stuff. And
so he's not going to be alive long, huh?
Exactly. So I'm like, why are all... I really haven't said that much on Twitter, so why can't I have my account back? All these other people are allowed to talk about all sorts of crazy shit, and I just wanted to, things,
Yeah, well, and it's, look up Nancy Schaefer and Schaefer Cox. Nancy Schaefer was a senator. I believe she shot herself in the back of the head twice. First shot her husband, and then shot herself in the back of the head twice. And then Schaefer Cox, although he was the head of a pretty good-sized militia, once he started speaking out about the child trafficking and possible CPS involvement, then they went after him. I think that's part of the reason maybe Eric Parker doesn't want to get involved in this kind of case is because, having a militia, that's something cool, and they left Schaefer Cox alone until he started to expose the child sex trafficking and, the government's involvement in it. And now he's in a communications limited prison.
So here's what I don't understand. Okay, so we've gone full swing from if you thought the government was involved in sex trafficking and pedophilia and all this other shit, 5 years ago, you were batshit crazy, okay? I know, because I was one of those people were like, yeah,
Where you been? I don't know.
you're a little
I've been
nuts.
batshit crazy for a long time, I guess.
Well, exactly. Okay, so like I've been batshit crazy for probably 10 years, according to some people. And now, like, fucking celebrities are screaming at the top of their lungs all over social media that this shit is happening, and people are like, "Oh yeah,
Well, it's warmed up. It's warming up the kettle. People have been exposing it for years, but yes, at first it's marginalized. Just like, another controversial issue, but one that I think goes to show that you can see the progression in it. Vaccines cause injuries. No, they don't. All the crazy conspiracy, anti-government, far-right crazy people think that, and now they go ahead and admit it, and everybody's like, well, yeah, of course they cause reactions. That's not a big deal, but they're still safe and effective. Wait, they're not as safe and effective because they cause damage. And then once they admit that there's damage, they're still safe and effective even though they cause damage. It's all to mind fuck people. It's what they do, and they're very good at it. But yeah, kind of bring it back to the thing is that they want to attack Ammon on this, and I think that this is just one little step of them shutting down not only Ammon, but this cause in a general thing. They want Ammon to not want to take this up because he doesn't want to, and to show others not to take up this kind of issue so that they can continue with their, ritualistic abuse of children. And, before people get too far off, I was one of those victims in those ritualistic abuse in CPS care. So, I'm a little bit more of a, conspiracy guy in that instance because I was actually involved in this shit as a kid. I was taken from my mom when I was 7 years old, suffered every kind of abuse you can think of while in their care, from mental abuse to, yes, Satanistic ritualistic abuse, which is documented, sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, anything that you put something abuse, yes, I got that from CPS care. And, quote unquote care. So, this is a much bigger issue than just Ammon, but at this point, they're trying to use him as a stepping stone to try to stop people from talking out about this. Look at how big the Baby Cyrus case was, and now it's faded, and, some people remember it, but they remember it as a blip. Well, here's another blip to bring that back up again and to stand for people who are willing to stand for this baby before freedoman.org had every single shred of evidence. Well, I don't know if they have every single shred. I guess I shouldn't say that. But they have overwhelming evidence online that this baby was stolen from them. And we still have people who won't stand. People need to stand. If you want to stand for children, stand with Ammon at this court case and show up and, allow others to be able to stand also. Because, if Ammon is punished, other people will not stand because they're scared. Because if they can go after Ammon, who's such a public figure, then they can go after anybody, is the way they see it. Just like with people not, people, because of my sentencing, because of what they've done to me, there's people out there who sit on their hands. Certain people that, that are afraid that will, verbally commit to taking up, writing the affidavits, but then when it comes down to it, don't actually do it. To stand for rights. And Ammon is one of those people who stands for rights, and we need to defend him to the best of our ability. So, get out there and show up to him and say, the hearing, okay, that's one thing. But at the trial, definitely be there for the trial, which I believe is the 23rd. And so people understand you don't need to know the time because the time is always the same. First thing in the morning, 8:30 to 9 o'clock they get started. There's jury selection. The jury usually gets selected by 10, maybe 11, and then the trial begins in the afternoon. And with Ammon, there may be 2-day trial. It may just be a single day. It kind of depends on the prosecution in a lot of cases. So yeah, show up to Ammon.
Remember how much this judge loves to have respectful, peaceful people in her courtroom.
Yeah, well, and show her that we're going to continue to stand, and that we're not going to just let her off the hook, and that that she is being watched, and I wonder if she comes up, if we can vote against her to take her out of office. I don't know. I got a friend that maybe I'll ask him if she comes, because I'm not sure exactly how that works. But yeah, maybe we could, if she continues to exercise tyranny, there is a way to vote her out of office, and they may be able to appoint her again, but we can vote her out. So we can try.
I really would like to hear some responses from people that are on the Judiciary Committee in the Capitol. I would love to have them come sit in on this trial, just
Right.
so that they can see the behavior of this judge. I mean, it's absolutely appalling. I sat through it with you a couple times, and this judge is a freaking psychopath. I mean,
she tells you to fuck off with a smile on her face.
oh, not only does she do that, but then she has like the fucking nerve to like slap everybody in the face by saying, "Oh, I appreciate you guys being so polite and respectful," or whatever the hell she said. It was awful. Like, I could not believe that woman had the audacity to just.
Yeah, well,
oh
and
my God.
how about people show up and see it for themselves, see how evil can take on a smiling face. But I do got to get off here pretty soon. So just in conclusion, I would like everybody to please show up, support Ammon, support parental rights, support standing for your neighbor, support standing for a baby. That's what you're doing when you're standing with Ammon Bundy in this case. And while you're there, check out the judge. She's the same one that sentenced me. She's, an enemy of liberty, enemy of the First Amendment, and definitely an enemy of family rights. By the way, she was a family court judge too. So she has actively participated in stealing these families and stealing these kids. So, seems like a bias to me, but no, she said it wasn't in my case. So I bet she won't in this case either. Be nice if he could get a different judge, but if he hasn't put in a motion already, he can get rid of the judge as long as it's his first motion, if without cause.
It's very clear
But
that the judges basically get to make up their own terms and conditions of how to operate within their courtroom, and this lady takes it to a whole nother level. The way she drug up your past like it was relevant, while she turned and told the other people that were up before you, oh, it's not a big deal. Like, we're going to make sure you're home with your family for Christmas, and it's okay that you got a DUI for the second time and ran into a parked car, and I'm glad that you're going
actually
to
cause damage. Yeah. Well, and but more than that, just show up to support. I always find it's better, and instead of showing up to condemn, it's better to show up to support Ammon and to support parental rights and to support the First Amendment yet again, because that's all Ammon was exercising. I think that some people or groups, they don't want to exercise their First Amendment. That's why they don't. They hide behind the second one. So if you can't, basically, if you can't stand up for the First Amendment, well, then join a group like 3%, because they just want to exercise the second. They're waiting for the war before they do anything. So one way or the other, you probably should get involved. If you want to try to do this peacefully, join Ammon, show up to his court date, join a local patriot group, join People's Rights. If you want to wait for a war, but you still want to stand up for rights, but you want to wait until it's violent, well then join 3%. That's at least you're pledging to eventually stand for rights. Once the Second Amendment needs to be used. So either way, stand for rights some way or another, or when they come to take yours, nobody's going to be there to stand for you. So
yeah, they take all the peaceful people first. There ain't going to be many people left because a lot of the people ride both lines.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people, they're what the system doesn't see is all those people that are just waiting for it to go violent because they want to use the Second Amendment. They don't want to use the First Amendment. They don't want to try to make it a peaceful thing. They want to try to make it a violent thing. So those people will come out eventually, and if we can't do this peacefully, and because they won't step out to help it go peacefully, it's it increases the likelihood of going violent. But if you still believe in a peace, trying to do this peacefully, show up for Ammon. If you're afraid of a target being put on your back because you just want violence, join your local 3% group, and do it that way. Get trained up so that when and if us peaceful people fail, you can be trained enough to perpetuate the violence that you talk about, and push.
For anybody listening that is actually looking for one of those groups, you're not going to find them on Facebook. You're not going to find them on any form of social media at this point because.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you will.
You can.
Real 3% of Idaho still got a Facebook page.
Really?
To the best of my knowledge, they still have a Facebook page.
Sure they got wiped in like the purge round 3 of 2020.
Yeah, but they got back.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure they got back. I've had people. I could be wrong on that, but I've had people share their Facebook pages and like pictures from their Facebook page to like try to, because they're not my enemies, but people try to like look what they're doing and this, that, and the other, and but that I kind of don't. Like they do them, they're waiting for it to go violent. That's fine. They'll be our allies if it goes violent. So I don't really, but I'm trying to do this peacefully. So they can see, they can do whatever they need to, and whatever is within their thing. I'm not part of them anymore. So yeah, I could have swore people send me screenshots of their Facebook pages, like sometimes them talking crap about me or about my causes or whatever. So. I think they still have Facebook. I could be wrong though, because it has been a while since people sent me that screenshot stuff. Well, no, back with Baby Cyrus, I'm pretty sure that somebody sent me a screenshot of them talking shit then. So,
he tried to give the money back.
That I don't.
Really
I can't 100% say.
like,
whoops, I made a mistake. He tried to repent.
But my intent isn't.
How much back and forth there has been with all the different groups, and how it really comes back down to this whole like we all gotta stand together, or we're gonna fall.
Yeah, well, and that's what I kind of like to end it on a positive note, not talking about that. Just if you still think if you believe that either we can do this peacefully, or that we need to exhaust every effort to do this peacefully, show up to Ammon's thing. If you believe that we're beyond that, well then there's other resources out there for you. But please
pick something.
Yeah, show up at least, show some kind of support. You don't want to go in the courthouse? Fine. Stand outside with a sign. Or just sit out there and, make the crowd look bigger. Whatever you want to do.
Getting out of
yeah. But I'm going to get off here so I can go eat.
Happy New Year. I hope that you have a good night. You did give me some ideas. I really want to kind of revive this whole Baby Cyrus thing because it's not over, and there has been quite a few cases since Baby Cyrus that I believe have picked up a new set of eyes across the internet, and across the state of Idaho. So maybe if we look at it from this isn't a support Ammon case.
Yeah,
yes, we are.
There's a plethora of CPS cases out there.
But it's really deeper than that. I mean, it's it's a parental rights, it's a freedom of speech, it's a First Amendment.
They want a king. What did Jesus
it's
say?
It's a freedom issue.
Or what did God
tell? But yeah, it is, and it always has been. That's what it's always about. But love you guys. Thank you guys all for supporting me and, showing the court that there are enough of us, that there are still a bunch of people out there trying to do this peacefully, and that, at least some people are willing to stand. I appreciate it, and let's show them again with Ammon. With that, say goodbye, and you guys have fun.
Oh, there's a group outside, by the way.
There's all sorts of kinds of Bible apps and stuff now. Get on there.
Group outside.
Of the jail for you.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah, right now.
You should ask the guards how many people are out there, because I know they're out there.
Yeah. I don't think they're there quite yet, but yeah. Are you talking about the protest at the jail?
Yeah, they started at 6.
I think it starts. Oh, I thought it started at 6:30.
Oh, well, maybe I misread.
Maybe it's 6. I can't remember, but either way. Tell them I love them too, and those people are awesome. Susan, my wife, Eva's been showing up a lot. Dawn and Owen, Marcy's from time to time. All the people, and I'm forgetting at least a few, but I appreciate those people continuing to stand too while I can. And being my voice while I can't.
All right. Well, we're doing the best.
All right, you guys.
Keep strong in there. I love you. Have a good night.
All right. Yeah, you too. Have fun.
now I got more envelopes. I got more envelopes coming, so I'm going to start writing people back to the best of my ability. And I appreciate the mail. And sometimes when we have these bigger discussions, sometimes